What's going on, you guys? It's your least favorite YouTuber, 13285, and today the time has come. I'm going to do a ranking of all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe shows on Disney Plus from the worst to the best. Yes, I'm doing the shows for now, and this is going to be a ton of fun because I haven't really done a ranking like this before. I just want to preface something. Remember, my list is not the right list, it's just my personal list, just based on my own subjective opinions. We are going to disagree, and that is perfectly fine. But without ado, let's dive into my ranking of all of the MCU Disney Plus shows, from my least favorite to my absolute favorite. Number 8, Moon Knight. Now, this was actually my most anticipated show of this year, or at least of the Disney Plus MCU shows. So if you were going to tell me at the beginning of the year, Sodium, you're going to be disappointed. This is going to be your least favorite Disney Plus show in the MCU. I would have been like, you're crazy. But unfortunately, I was kind of very much let down. Now, I watched the majority of these shows like a month after they came out, and it was like that with Moon Knight. And when I was binge watching it, it took me an entire month just to complete it. You know why? Because I found. Now, look, I like the acting a lot, and I think Layla was a very interesting supporting character, but that's basically it. It's still a decent show, just nothing I'm craving to go back to watch. And I think the main problem is I just found it pretty hard to get invested in. The first few minutes of basically the first four episodes and the finale, well, the first four episodes, the first two acts are very uninteresting for me, but then the third act, okay, this could be interesting. And then it goes back to square one for the next episode, and it repeats the formula that I just told you. Gets interesting in the third act, but the first two, they're not for me. However, episode 5 I thought was really good because I think it gave a lot of context for what was happening. I was like, okay, I think I'm not as disappointed. However, the finale just didn't really work for me. It's a shame because if we were just judging from episode 5, I think Moon Knight would have been a bit higher on this list. Maybe even a lot higher. But as it is as a whole, I'm sorry, this one very much disappointed me, but I'm happy if this is your favorite. It's just my least favorite, I'm sorry. Number 7, What If? Now, I had initially skipped over What If because I thought, well, it's not in the main continuity of the MCU, so what's the point? But then when Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was coming out, I thought it's probably going to tie into it, and I've heard it is going to tie into it, so might as well watch it. And you know what? This show I didn't have high expectations for it, so I ended up enjoying it a bit more than I did. Now, even if you take away the whole it's episodic thing, which episodic I wouldn't say is too much of my thing, hence why I have the controversial opinion on some highly acclaimed animated series. Nothing said there. Anyway, but the episodes very much varied in quality. You have some pretty useless episodes with Captain Carter, which I thought was just a rehash of Captain America the First Avenger. But then you have some interesting episodes like What If Ultron won, or What If Hank Pym killed all of the Avengers except Cap. And that was okay, so they're varying in quality. But then you also have some, like the four episodes, which I thought was so maybe stupid, but also extremely funny. So I can't lie when I say I was entertained by that episode. And to be fair, it does build up to a finale episode at the end. It took me what, 5 days to finish 2 episodes each? Or heck, I think it actually took me 4 days for 2 episodes for 3 days and 3 episodes for the final day. So I think that's how much. Okay, so What If's not bad. I'd say it's pretty good, kind of good. So kudos to What If. Just nothing I'm craving to go back and watch too much. But I am looking forward to season 2. Number 6, She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Now, I know a lot of people have this show at their bottom two, but I actually enjoyed this show probably more than most people did. I would actually argue it's pretty enjoyable, maybe even very enjoyable. And I would say the majority of the humor landed. I really enjoyed the supporting characters such as Nikki and Amelia, and I enjoyed the addition of Abomination, Wong, and even Charlie Cox's Daredevil. Though there are a couple of things with his character that I was like, maybe they shouldn't have done that. And Jennifer Walters herself, I actually thought, okay, she's arrogant, but not as arrogant as, say, Doctor Strange. She might as well have been Captain America compared to Doctor Strange, if you ask me. So it wasn't enough to make me like, haha, serves you right. Wouldn't necessarily say she's one of my favorites in the MCU. She's probably like mid for me, but she's a welcome addition for me. I do have issues with the finale in some episodes, like I said, episode 8 with some of the stuff they did with Daredevil. And I was like, this is going to be a great finale, but then they kind of get a little carried away with the fourth wall breaking. I was like, that kind of sucks. But overall, I think I enjoyed She-Hulk more than most people did. So that's why, while it's still in the bottom 3, it's not in the bottom 2 for me. But if you have it in your bottom 2, great. Just, for me, it's not bottom 2. Number 5. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, I think this is yet another show that people have probably in their bottom 2. And for a while, I did consider it the weakest of the MCU shows thus far, or until I watched What If. And while that, I actually still enjoyed the show a lot. I think it's still a really good show. I do think, kind of like with She-Hulk, parts of the finale lets the series down with the revelation of the Power Broker is, and how Sharon was handled towards the end. And I was like, I don't think that you should have done it like that. It makes zero sense. But other than that, I think this is a very good show. The banter between Sam and Bucky was absolutely hilarious. Both Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan give great performances. Stan, in particular, I think, gives one. With Sam learning what kind of Captain America the world needs right now. I thought that was actually very compelling stuff, dealing with the difficulties of what type of Captain America the world needs. And I think John Walker was a very interesting character. I want to see more of him in the MCU. And I can't wait for Captain America New World Order. So, look, if this is in your bottom 2, fine. Me, I think it deserves the number 5 spot. Number 4. Miss Marvel. Now, I know some people have kind of bashed Miss Marvel and whatnot, calling it woke, but I very much loved this show. And I'll be honest, after the emotional roller coaster that was Spider Man No Way Home, albeit in a fantastic way, I needed something a bit more lighthearted in the MCU. So I would actually argue that Miss Marvel was the show I should have gotten after No Way Home, not Moon Knight, to kind of have a good palate cleanser. Kind of like with the Ant-Man movies after the Avengers movies. But I think there's a lot to love. I think Kamala Khan is a very likable protagonist. She's flawed. They don't take sides. I loved her family. I loved the supporting characters. Nakia, Bruno. I kind of want a season 2 of this show. It took me 3 days just watching 2 episodes per day just to finish it. And I think it was a very good coming of age story. There were a couple of weird stuff in the finale that prevented it from being top tier, but otherwise, I think Miss Marvel is absolutely great, and I will defend this show from any naysayers. Number 3. Loki. Honestly, what can I even say about Loki at this point that hasn't been said already? I think most people are in agreement with me that it belongs as one of the best MCU shows. I mean, this show is just a lot of fun. It is extremely funny, and you feel for Loki. Sometimes it can be a little confusing. I think mostly in episode 3 where it's a little filler, but Tom Hiddleston is still as charismatic as ever as Loki, and the new side characters were fun, new welcomes. I loved Sylvia, and Sylvie, sorry, uh, Owen Wilson's character, Mobius. It was all just a ton of fun. Sylvie, in particular, was an interesting character and a great foil for Loki. That ending and Kang's MCU debut were nice surprises, and it's a great setup for the Kang Dynasty, which I can't wait for. And honestly, I think I can go on about how great this show is, but it's already been said. While this show may not necessarily be top tier for me MCU material, it's definitely great material. Number 2, WandaVision. Honestly, I absolutely adore WandaVision. It's possibly the most unique entry in the entire MCU. Elizabeth Olsen gives possibly her best performance as Wanda Maximoff or Scarlet Witch, kind of rivaled by her performance in Multiverse of Madness, but either way, this is still a fantastic performance. And that is saying a lot since she was already fantastic in the past. Catherine Hahn deserves an Oscar for her delightful performance as Agatha Harkness. She just does. And this show manages to transition from comedic rip-off sitcoms to a story about dealing with all the trauma and grief Wanda had gone throughout the Infinity Saga, and it had me go from laughing my head off to having tears in my eyes. Vision was great as well as his and Wanda's kids, Billy and Tommy. Seeing Evan Peters back at Quicksilver was a delightful surprise, and honestly, I didn't mind the Ralph Boner joke and the twist. Eventually, people will come around to it like they did with the Mandarin twist in Iron Man 3. And Jimmy Woo, Darcy, and Monica Rambeau were amazing supporting characters, and that reveal in the finale had me geeking out. In particular, where Wanda has the Scarlet Witch suit, which are like, ah! So I think WandaVision deserves to be in my top 2, but it's not number 1 anymore. Number 1, Hawkeye. Honestly, I get the feeling that it's going to take a while for anything to top Hawkeye as my favorite MCU show, or at least on Disney Plus, because I absolutely adore Hawkeye. This sensational show takes the buddy cop banter from Falcon and the Winter Soldier and the heartfelt elements of WandaVision to make such a wonderful experience. Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld had such amazing chemistry and banter as Clint Barton and Kate Bishop. And the two characters really help each other become better people, and I was invested in both of their arcs. Clint dealing with his dark past as Ronin, as well as Kate really learning what it meant to be a true hero. Kate helped Clint embrace the hero lifestyle, while Clint helped Kate learn what sometimes being a hero means. Another thing I think this show did extremely well was showing us the theme of family and what family is. And the more said about Yelena, the better. And I know some people take issue with the finale and how Kingpin wasn't as brutal as he was in the Netflix shows. But honestly, did he need to be as brutal as he was in the Netflix shows? I mean, he was still brutal. Kate still struggled against him. And that final battle between Clint and Yelena was emotionally heartbreaking, honestly. So I think Hawkeye definitely deserves the number 1 spot for me. So there you have it, true believers. That is my ranking of all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe Disney Plus shows, from my least favorite to my absolute favorite. Let me know what yours is in the comments below. And if you liked this video, you can leave a like, and if you didn't, you can leave a dislike. And if you like my content, you can subscribe to my channel. I talk Marvel, Ninja Turtles, Sonic the Hedgehog, Power Rangers. So if that is anything down your alley, this is the place for you. And if you're already subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube may have randomly unsubscribed you since the last time you were here. Remember, trust your own judgment, and I'll be back very soon. Sodium285, out.
If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.